I want to go straight into segmenting the Agri-SME market at scale. And of course, that relates to data. So I hope we have a nice flow from Beverly's points to this presentation as well. Matilda, do you want to prepare?
I'm ready. Thank you very much, Mark. I'm glad to be here with you today. It's the first time for me. I'm glad to talk about Agri-SME segmentation in this first session. So I understand we will be two in these sessions. I hope, Mark, you confirm. In any case, we will start with a first presentation about the new Agri-SME segmentation approach we would like to introduce to you to get your feedback on it. And hopefully it will resonate with some of the issues you face and with your experience as well. So I'll start by presenting this approach. You can go to the next slide, Mark. Yes. Just to give you a few words about the context in which this approach was produced. AMEA, ADA, the organization I represent, and the Argelius Foundation are leading a working group on BDS, and so business development services and technical assistance that could be provided to Agri-SMEs in the framework of a broader Agri-SME Learning Collective, in which several organizations supporting Agri-SMEs both financially and technically participate. So in this subgroup focusing on BDS and TA, we worked first on this question of Agri-SME segmentation. And we recently published a document entitled Guidance for Improving Targeting of Agri-SMEs with Appropriate BDS and TA. So you could download the document. Maybe we can add the link in the chat. I provide it here to get all the details. But basically, I will introduce the main part of this document. And first, I will start with, you can go back, Mark. Yes, I will just explain the why we worked on this. And the main reason is that we started from the observation that in order to, first there is a need to improve the quality of BDS services and of the business development services and technical assistance provided to Agri-SMEs. And for that, we consider that it's also necessary to better identify the various segments of Agri-SMEs that compose the market, to better identify their specific needs. And based on this analysis of their needs, then we could deliver more appropriate business development services and technical assistance, and hopefully generate better outcomes. And we also, so of course, we started from the observation that there are already frameworks existing in the market that propose the segmentation of Agri-SMEs, especially the one, for instance, published a few years ago by Safin and ISL, that probably some of you know. But we consider that actually these existing frameworks are not necessarily easily applicable in practice by practitioners, especially by BDS providers, and/or are not always relevant, especially to identify the most suitable technical support to provide. So that's why we suggested a new approach that now I will present briefly. So you can go to the next slides. So first of all, this is a multi-dimensional segmentation, which means that we do not consider that we should use only one criterion to segment Agri-SMEs. And basically, we propose 3 additional criteria which are not so common in the market, and which especially go beyond business size or business stage, which are usually the type of criteria used to segment Agri-SMEs. So we are not saying that these criteria are not relevant, but we consider they are not sufficient to especially identify needs in terms of technical support. So we propose 3 other types of criteria to be taken into account. First, the legal form of these Agri-SMEs, distinguishing between private enterprises, social enterprises, co-ops, or other hybrid organizations, and unregistered organizations, especially to better identify the needs in terms of governance, in terms of the type of business model to develop or to improve. So this is the first type of criteria. The second one is the position in the value chain of the Agri-SME. So, of course, there are already segmentations proposing or describing the different positions in the value chain. We proposed a simplified one, distinguishing between the organization within the value chain and the organization serving the value chain. And then again, within the value chain, we simplified a bit the various steps. And the idea here, again, is to position agri-SMEs in these different categories to better identify their needs in terms of technical support. Here, we consider that it could influence the type of support, especially focusing on the business model of the organization and on the technical side of their activity. And finally, last but not least, the most important type of criteria we consider here is the level of management capacities of these agri-SMEs. So we distinguish between 3 levels of management capacities: basic level, proficient level, advanced level. Of course, in the document, you have more details about the criteria to use to position agri-SMEs in each of these categories. Basically, this criteria concerns the governance practices of the agri-SMEs. They also include specific financial criteria with different types of financial criteria. The thing is, they have to be assessed in terms of trends. And the idea is not to consider a specific value at a certain moment. The idea is really to consider trends to position the SMEs in these 3 categories. So what we are seeing here is that this level of management capacities is actually not directly linked to the business size or to the business stage, which means that a startup, for instance, which is very young, can already have an advanced level of management capacities. On the contrary, old cooperative, for instance, existing for more than 10 years, can still have a basic level of management capacities. And we consider that the level of management capacities is a bit more relevant to identify the type of support to provide to the agri-SMEs than just the size of the business stage. So we can go to the next slide just to show you how this segmentation can be used to identify the specific needs. So we distinguish these different levels of management capacities on the left, and then we also proposed a first categorization of BDS or TA on considering 3 main topics, let's say. So first, the improvement of the internal management system of the agri-SMEs, which is supposed to benefit first the agri-SME itself, of course. Then a topic around market access and product development, considering that support on this topic should benefit both the agri-SME and the farmers interacting directly with this SME. And finally, a third category of BDS or TA on capacity building for farmers, which means that the main beneficiary is farmers in this case. Using these 2 different types of categorization, the idea is to identify the type of support to provide on each topic for each category of agri-SME, depending on its level of management capacities. So I give just one example, very concrete example. For organizations with a basic level of management capacities, for instance, we consider that it's maybe not relevant to make efforts or spend many resources on support to provide capacity building for farmers. In this case, it's better to focus on the improvement of the internal management system of the organization, especially if we want to adopt this mindset of supporting systems rather than supporting programs. The idea here is to make sure that the SME can make the most of the support which is provided. And in this case, it may be not the right time to make sure it will be able to provide capacity building for farmers in the long term after the specific support provided. So I stop here for the introduction of this approach, which is, we hope, a bit different from what you see usually. Then I know we should have the presentation of another approach with a concrete example of application. And after that, we'll be able to dig into more details in the breakout group.
Okay, thanks, Matilda. Excellent. Solomon, we're on to, okay, that's segmentation based on what we feel is emerging best practice. Let's see what the real practice is in Ethiopia.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Here in Ethiopia, it's afternoon time, so I think better to say good afternoon. I'm Solomon from ATI. ATI is the Agriculture Transformation Institute here in Ethiopia, under Ministry of Agriculture. It's established to transform the agriculture sector in the coming 10, 15 years. So I am here just to display or to share you our experience related to the Agri-SME support. ATI is, this time running a big program, the Agricultural Commercialization Cluster Program. And under this program, there are many projects implemented through this program. And among these projects, AgriHub, the BDS support project for the Agri-SME is one of the projects. And this project is now providing the BDS services for the SMEs or agri-enterprise that are established under this program. The main purpose of just having this project is to provide the BDS service and access to finance support for the enterprises that are established under the ACC program. So far, we have about 17 projects, and under these projects, there are several enterprises established. So to strengthen the BDS and the finance services, this AgriHub project is now supporting this project. I think, Mark, I'm not seeing the next slide.
Okay, we can go to the next slide. This is just providing a summary of what Agri-Hub is about, but I think the segmentation approach is the most interesting part to explore because there's a lot of detail on there. Should we go to next slide?
Yeah. To support these Agri-SMEs that are established under the ACC program, we employ the 4-tier BDS service approach. We have the lowest tier, which is we call it the Center of Excellency. Under this tier, we provide the basic trainings. And Mark, I think you have to that will be good. Under the Center of Conception, we provide the basic trainings and the mindset trainings, and also we provide the kind of enterprise analysis for SMEs. And especially when we just enroll the SMEs in this tier, we have some criteria to just consider them in this tier. The next tiers or the next category we have is the Center of Excellency. At this level, we provide standardized and shared BDS services for SMEs, which includes the model designing, the diagnostic, health checking, and also we do the level 1 specific or the excellency or competency level specific training for the target SMEs. We have also the level, which is the capacity booster level, which we address the SMEs that are at the growth stage and perform better from the preceding SMEs. At the end, we have the last categories of SMEs, the accelerator level. And under this, we provide a very customized BDS service for SMEs. Just to come these tiers, we have defined the levels first, and based on that definition, we recruit SMEs to each category or each tier of BDS service. As I said, the accelerator level is a higher level where we provide more advanced services for the SMEs. Especially, we provide, based on the need assessment, we provide advanced or customized kind of advisory service. They are small in number because of their level of progress or development. They are not as such too many like the other level SMEs. We have a capacity booster. As I said, it's a growth stage SMEs, which are at the growth stage. We provide some kind of training that makes them more competitive in the market, since they are in the growing stage. And also we have, as I said, the second level or the competency level, which has the similar or more SMEs like the third one. And in this tier, we undergo a market testing of these SMEs, and most of them are transferred from the center of consumption from the previous tier. So the last one is, as I said, we define under the SMEs under this level, those that are under establishment, and most of them have no license of working some kind of groups which are coming to the actual business operation. So we have a lot of SME enterprise kind of groups in this category, especially we have the farmers production clusters at this time. So under this tier, we are addressing this large number of SMEs.
Solomon, we only have a minute or so left. Can I take you to the challenges straight away?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, just so people know, there's a lot of detail here, isn't there, on threshold and mandatory criteria, which is excellent, and people should look at it. It will be made available. But yeah, if you take us through the challenges, and then this could be the basis of some of the discussion in your breakouts.
Yeah, as you have seen the slide before this one, we use the threshold and the mandatory criteria to transfer SMEs from one tier to tier. So we use that criteria. We have mandatory criteria, and we have about 17 sub-criteria under the criteria threshold category. When you come to the challenge that we face in supporting the target SMEs across these projects, the first one is the structural challenge we have. This is especially the SMEs at the accelerator level. Their demand is very high, and because of this high demand, especially when they engage in the foreign exchange and also in importing and exporting of materials, the advisory service that we provide is not sometimes sufficient enough to support them. The other problem is we have regional and the federal level project teams in coordinating and making them focus to the BDS service. We have some kind of structural problems that couldn't make them or engage the advisors that we have at the regional level to fully engage in their duties and support the Agri-SMEs in terms of manpower. We have only 2 people per region, so that's a little bit challenging to address the support of the SMEs in the regions. The other one is sometimes when we avail the BDS service providers, we are becoming late in some time, and we reach to the planting or the planting time of farmers. At that time, when we organize the business skill trainings and also when we arrange the advisory service approach, we may be a little bit challenged because of delay of some of our internal operations, especially in availing the BDS service providers. The other one is when, as I mentioned before, this time we provide the advisory service at the capacity booster and accelerator level. And now we are this time becoming more and more in terms of numbers, so we couldn't be fully address them to provide the service. We have to improve the service or hiring the BDS service provider, or we have to add project teams just to address or support the SMEs at the higher level of the tier. So these are some of the challenges that we have faced so far.
Thank you, Solomon. What's really interesting is we're trying to do this at scale, at a reasonable scale. It's 1,300 SMEs segmenting into 4 categories, and you're trying to provide a tailored service. There's lots of learning coming out of that, and we're in the process of finalizing the case study with you on that, and that will be made available to everybody. So probably in a week or 2's time, once we're all happy with it. Am I okay to finish with you at that point?
Yeah, we are also this time preparing to launch the bigger program, ACC2 program, which will support a large number of farmers groups. So we are planning to scale up that area and support for more than about 49,000 clusters are operating in the country. So this scaling up of this agri-business development support will expand to that direction. So we have a big opportunity to provide this kind of support on a larger scale. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Solomon. Thanks, Matilda. And coming back to Beverly's suggestion as well, I think it's for a lot of people working in the agricultural sector in Ethiopia to probably consider how do we build on these ideas, these approaches to produce a system rather than a fragmented collection of projects. And I think there's an opportunity there with ACC2. I really do. I hope people take it. Okay, we are going to move on, and we are going to hear from Guillermo next. Oh, sorry, Matilda. You did have some questions, didn't you? I forgot about that.
Yes, no problem. Just to introduce very quickly the questions we'll discuss in our breakout groups. So, of course, the idea will be to discuss the different types of criteria we mentioned in our respective experiences to see if it resonates with your experience. And then the idea will be to get your feedback on the general idea of segmenting Agri-SME to provide appropriate support based on your experience. Does it work? Is it easy to do? Or are there some challenges? So let's discuss about it after the other presentations.
Okay, thanks, Matilda.